Hey, what's up, y'all? Lindsay here. I felt called to do a reading on the 222 portal, February 22nd portal. I wanted to use the Archetypes deck by Kim Crayons. So I wanted to look at some new energy coming in right now for the collective, for anyone that might be watching this. So, it's going to be 4 cards that you can choose from. I'm going to show you them, and I'm going to cover up the archetype name. So you're just going to go intuitionally based on what you see on the card, and then you're going to choose pile 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. So for the first card, and they all start with the. So don't. I'm just going to cover up what the archetype name is. So here's the first one. All right, so you got a butterfly. Okay, focusing. There's a little eye down here with the pyramid. I can't tell what that is. It looks like an eyeball right here. I don't know what that is, but okay. And this is 21. I don't know. All right. Pile number 2. This is the card. So to start the reading, I channeled God, source, consciousness, my high self. I called in my angels, archangels, and asked for some archetypes to come through for the collective. So I have this figure here that's covering up, and in this bowl here, this yellow bowl, looks like some sort of yellow sun or something. What's this number? 100? Is that what that is? I have no idea. You got me, my Roman numerals. I think it is 100. No. Yeah. Look. I need to bone up on those. That's kind of sad. Okay. Here's the third one. So it looks like a 3-headed snake and some kind of whatever this is right here. I don't know. Put in the comments. But look, you got this like fiery red here, yellow. I mean, the colors obviously symbolic of something. The other ones had black and white background. All right, then we got this one. This one's a little tricky. Okay. This one with this. Another eye. I don't know. This is like reminding me of those ribbons. I don't think that's what it is though. It looks like mountains here. I love this background here. I love these cards. I love how they're watercolor. I do a lot of watercolor cards. Okay, so this is pile number 4. All right, y'all. I'll see you at your pile. Hey, what's up? Pile number 1. So you chose the Mystic. The Mystic. So the archetypes essentially are like energies that have kind of like always existed, and kind of like we use them at like different points during our life. So I wanted to kind of look at some new energies coming in right now. So if you chose that card, then you're the Mystic. You're channeling the Mystic, I should say. So I'm going to read from this book. So it says, the seer, the light worker, the dreamer. When light, remover of darkness, visionary, ageless. When dark, expects results, seeks attention and recognition. So go deeper. It says Zen koans, poetry, and Murakami. I probably say that right. Novels. Okay. Like any light worker, the mystic must build a relationship with fire. This begins by awakening the inner flame, or tapas, within. It may seem that the mystic is inward facing, yet its light beams back to the world with the strength of 1,000 stars. The mystic is often misunderstood in our culture, depicted as a wandering or light-hearted daydreamer. Yet, like Shiva, the true mystic plays a critical role in society, remaining fearlessly dedicated to the path of transformation. In order to save the earth from darkness, Shiva swallows the poison of the world and holds it in his throat, slowly transmuting the liquid into nectar. This is the work of the mystic. They do not fear darkness, but rather sit in the presence of it, harness the potential and latent energy behind it, and embed it with light. They are patient and prudent change makers, seeking growth above all else. Unanswerable questions are the mystic's lifeblood. The mystic revels in mystery, in the great riddle of life, dancing with the forces of light and dark upon its wings. And I kind of started to laugh. And you guys heard me cough. It's funny. Because I'm having experience with this right now, and I think that I coughed because I didn't want to share what my story was. But that's kind of like the point of me doing this, is to take my experiences and then share so others can learn from it. So, sitting in the presence of darkness. Do not fear, but sitting in the presence of it. So really taking negative experiences, sitting with them, realizing, as I like to say, the pendulum always swings back the other way. So whenever I'm like up here, like, oh my gosh, why is all this happening to me? I'm like, okay, you know that pendulum has to go back the other way now, like, because it always does. Like, that's balance. So you might be in a period right now where you're kind of like collecting your stories, I guess you could say. That's what I'm gonna call my stories, like where you're having experiences and they feel pretty dark and you're overall grateful. Like, you know that life is good, but there are things happening around you. I just saw 444 on the timer. There are things happening that, you know, cause you, like, ideally, you know, that, like, this is what I've learned, that I call them tower moments. And in the tarot, it's like depicted as the tower with two falling out, their crowns coming off their head like lightning bolts striking. So those are things that happen, and that's a major arcana card. So that's like outside forces that are coming in, you don't have any control over. So tower moments kind of like come in a lot of times to, you know, point us closer to God, and that's what I've realized. And this is not coming from a religious standpoint, but like as like God's source consciousness, like singularity, that's what I mean, like when I say God, all that ever was, all that ever will be, but you know, realizing that, you know, you are here as the experiencer, as an experiencer, as a part of God. And these tower moments come in, ideally, you know, so that you realize that, and you realize your own true divinity. And, you know, then you kind of say, okay, you know, God, like, I understand that I'm co-creating with you, and if I understand that and kind of like decide to flow with the universe rather than against it, then these tower moments can stop happening. Because a lot of times they come in when we have resistance, like when we have resistance to changes that need to be made. Like, for example, and if you're wondering what this has to do with the reading, I've learned that me as like a tarot reader, that I'm like channeling, and I use my own examples, like all the bumps in the road, because I've had so many businesses, and I, you know, say, okay, I want to live exactly how I want to live. How do I need to do that? What does that look like? And that is like a rough process. And so this was like so hitting home, because it was talking about Shiva, the true mystic that plays a critical role in society, remaining fearlessly dedicated to the path of transformation. And I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and I was talking about how I was struggling so bad. And my friend, you know, was feeling bad for me. So, you know, saying, I don't know why you're, you know, I don't know why it's happening, you know, that you're going through all this right now. And I was like, oh, I do. I understand why I'm going through it. It's because I was not listening to my inner voice that was telling me that I needed to be making changes, because my life was unsustainable. Like, the way I was living was not sustainable, because it essentially was like, okay, I just have to do this for a certain amount of time, and then I'll have the life I want. But then after like a certain point, it's like, well, how long do I have to do this? This is kind of like crazy, because I don't like what this looks like every day. And then I just kind of saw it as, I don't think this is ever going to end. This is always going to be like this, to be specific. So my plan is to have a plot of land with a group of people that want to just live in a more free manner, and not in some kind of weird, you know, way, but just essentially free, like from mortgage, free from utility payments, based on the way that we build our houses. You know, people that want to do homeschool, like that sort of thing. They want to have more of like an actual community, like, so that's my goal. And right now I have a vegan baking business, and I'm an artist, and so I make money by selling vegan baked goods and selling my art. And for my baking business, like when things were like going really well, and like I was like, and when I say really well, I mean like for me, like making decent amount of money, which is really not that much because I've been like seriously broke ass poor for pretty much like my whole adult life, like since I moved out. So this seemed like a decent amount of money to me. But it wasn't sustainable because I was like working a crazy amount of time and I couldn't see my friends and like I couldn't do things that I wanted to do. So I was like, okay, well, how long do I have to do this? Because, you know, it was like kind of like coming in like, okay, well, should I have a brick and mortar? Like, yada, yada, yada. What about expanding? Like, how do I bring in more money? And then it just came down to it. Like, I didn't want a brick and mortar. I did not want to be outside of my home going to work for X amount of hours. I did not want my kids to be somewhere else. Like, I want to homeschool my son. So, again, everything always comes to, you know, what life do you want? So being a like pioneer, like what this guy I'm talking about is, you know, you might have to be in like a period where you look like an outsider, like what you're doing looks weird. Like people are like, well, why do you want to homeschool? Because I want to be with my kids, like, and not in a weird way, but in a like, I didn't have kids to have somebody else raise them, like, and I don't want to, you know, spend all this time to like go into why I'm not a fan of like public schools, but you know, I have a beautiful vision planned, and that includes homeschooling with a group of individuals that all have different gifts to offer to their kids, you know, but maybe not everything. Like, you know, there's certain subjects that I might not be good at, but there are other things that I'm great at. And oh my gosh, I'd love to have your kids over while we do these things. Oh, you're good at math? Okay, my kid will come over and do this for like a certain amount. I mean, it just to me seems like a no-brainer, and then seems like a better way to raise people, and like life's better with a community. And you find out really quick, like me finding out, like being a like single mom, you know, people forget about you quick, like because you don't have time to contact people. You're freaking busy. It's not like you're not thinking. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm gonna go make some new friends. That's why, you know, your friends are like, well, I don't ever hear from you. Oh my gosh, I'm working my ass off because there's just one person that is trying to support these kids over here on my side. You know, like I don't have two people helping split the rent and all this stuff. And, you know, so shit comes up. And life was like bearing down on me, like working like so much. And like I just got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to work this much. I don't work 12 hours a day. I should not have to do that just to survive. I should not have to work so much just to survive. Like that to me is like, that's a God-given right. The right to live, to have somewhere to live. That is just a basic right. But I won't get into that in this video. But anyways, going back to my story, so I didn't know how to do anything else. I didn't know how to change over from this baking business because that is what I built. And like the art, you know, like that's a spotty thing, like to get a commission. I also paint houses on ornaments for a realtor. That is only dependent on when she sells a house. So I don't know when that's gonna, you know, come in. I have multiple different streams of income. I sell prints through a shop, you know what I mean? Like I do wholesale through a restaurant. Like I have like several different ways that I make money. And so my whole point of this is my major tower moment was essentially like, I guess last summer when, you know, all the ads were being pushed, you know, for the political stuff, you know, everybody hates it. Like, oh my gosh, I just want the election to be over so all these ads stop, right? And all the ads were like talking about how, oh my gosh, money is so bad, the economy is horrible, utilities, all the prices are like skyrocketing. And the second I started hearing this stuff, like in my head, I was like, I'm not listening to this. I'm not listening to like somebody tell me that I'm like gonna be broke, because it's all programming. But again, I'm not gonna get into that. But anyways, just slowly, like I was like, oh no, like I understand, like I'm gonna turn these, ads off, or like turn my brain off and then not hear this, or kind of say, okay, well, I control my destiny. I can ensure that I always have like money coming in no matter what they're saying on the ads. But then I start thinking, but that doesn't mean that my customers are like doing that, or that other people aren't having issues. And so then essentially that is what happened, and like basically all avenues of my income nearly dried up, to like a really bad place. And I was like super super scared. So like I have no idea. And this was in the fall. Yeah, I didn't know, how I was gonna pay my rent. So I had to borrow money basically. I mean, I wish I could say, hey, my everything like happened in my business, like everything came. No, it didn't. Like after the election, like no, and it got worse. And I'm not even gonna talk about that at all. I'm just merely talking about a like trend on like what I saw, and then also, okay, yeah, all these other things like happening. But anyways, I'm kind of like, what the F am I going to do? But then I also was like, well, I give up. Like, I give up. I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I was like in like a really, really low place. But my point is that I literally said, like, I give up, God. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not doing a good job at life. And like I felt, like responsible for my children, and so it was like I don't have, any kind of real margin for error here. So tell me what to do. I give up control, I can't control anything. So tell me what to do. And this was in November. And I, reached out to like 4 people, essentially. And I kind of look at it as like a divine thing, because I had already set up hanging out with some neighbors. And anyways, I had went and then talked with them, and another friend, and I, kind of like ended up asking God like the next day, like why did that happen? Like I was in such a low place, and like I, had to like reach out to people and essentially ask for help. And like why? And God, that because you refuse to be vulnerable and you don't ask for help, so essentially tower moment was created for you, to force you to reach out, because you're trying to do too much by yourself. And there's a time to isolate, and you know, maybe you're in that time right now, like where you're isolating. And I definitely would suggest to ask God for guidance, you know, like your high self, however you want to, you know, call it, but kind of like just kind of like admitting essentially like, okay, I'm the experiencer in this body here. Like, I don't 100% know like what I came here to do. So rather than, you know, me think small and do stuff like, I'm gonna get 1 million customers for my vegan baking business, and then realize, but I don't want to work 12 hours a day baking. I don't want to do that. Like, my life was like set up to where it's like I had to wake up like 1 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm like delivering or whatever, and I'm like, I don't want to do that every weekend. Because then during the week I'm like prepping stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to work so much. But I didn't know how to change it. So then the tower moment comes in. Okay, Lindsay, you're not doing anything to change your situation. So we're going to come in and change your situation for you by basically taking away all your customers and forcing you to go do something else. Go do something else. What are you going to do? And so then I had to essentially figure out like what I wanted to do. And so I'm doing another creative endeavor, and I'm not doing this because, again, this is like another thing like that is separate from me, you know, having my land and then doing all this stuff, because ultimately that I know is, you know, not like, you know, working 2 on the clock, not working a gazillion and 1 hours, you know, like not pounding pavement every week, like, oh my gosh, I need to make this X amount of money. Like, that sucks to live like that. But I had to, in a way, come out of the sweets and like come out of what I was doing like with that. And so to do something else like that's like merging like my art and like plants together, because I want to work more with plants. And so I'm like, okay, you know, like what are things that, like how, like, and then I kept asking God, like, God, I spend so much time with my plants and they give me a lot of joy. How can I make more money using plants or like with plants? And so then ideas, and like I keep asking this, and again, me doing this reading is me again asking that. So ideas come in, like I start to like get downloaded ideas. So if ideas pop into your head, you know, maybe this is a message to you, like that those are downloads from your high self, especially if you voice things out loud, if you ask out loud, high self, God, whatever, however you want to say it. You know, I just got a light flicker. I don't know if it came through on your thing, but that's confirmation. However you want to ask for it, you know, like ask your question out loud and you'll get an answer. Whether someone you know will like come in somehow and answer that for you, or an idea will like pop into your head and then you're like, that's so weird. Let me tell you, look, where I'm sitting right now, this table and on this stool. So I built this table. It's like a workbench type thing, and I built it thinking that my food business was expanding, but it didn't end up expanding. And I'm not saying that it's not going to in the different ways, but I thought I was going to branch out into non-sweet food because, again, I was like, I don't want to make my money off of sugar. You know, like a little bit's okay in moderation, but again, I'm like, I don't want to be asking people every week, do you want to buy this sugar? You know, because I want people to be healthy. You know, like do sweets in moderation. So how else can I make money? So I built all, you know, all this workspace thinking I was going to use it for my food, but then I end up using it for the stained glass that I'm doing, like for my art project, for my stained glass, and now for my tarot, because I love doing tarot and I do my own readings every day, and like it's just a way to like, you know, check in and like ask questions, and you know, like I'm getting confirmation, and like that, like that's like another thing. If like you're wondering, oh, you let the cards tell you what to do, like no, I'm not doing that. You know, like I'm saying, okay, I'm feeling like this, and I'll even say that I'll even say, okay, God, I'm feeling like this is happening for this reason. Give me, you know, confirmation if I'm right. If I'm not right, you know, then like give me confirmation of that, or, you know, whatever. And, you know, like I might somehow, you know, like in the cards, what will come out or something, I'll see some sort of symbol or like an animal or something, and I'll say, oh, that was a weird interaction with an animal. I'm gonna look up the animal, and then I look it up, and then it's the answer to my question. So, you know, kind of just like, you know, I guess you're being called to tap in right now. I guess like that's like the whole point of me saying all this stuff, is in this period, like if you're kind of withdrawn, if you're being called to like be that kind of, you know, I guess rebel that's like setting the like pace for others to follow, you're going to be like spending this time going within. Dancing with the forces of light and dark. Dancing with light and dark, you know, having dark experiences, to, you know, then help you step into the light, to help you find the light through those dark experiences. You know, like that's just kind of what I've seen, is that, you know, you end up it ends up bringing clarity, I guess I should say. Okay, so I'm gonna use this career love deck, and we'll see if anything comes up from this, and then we'll do general tarot cards to clarify, and then also any other cards that I feel called to pick from. So it's already a long reading. I said I was gonna do 15 minutes. That's funny. I said 15 minutes per pile. I'm already at 27. But sometimes certain piles have longer messages, and I was feeling called to share those things. So, oh yeah, bottom line for my story then. So in that dark period, essentially, I then felt called to do my taxes early, and am now like, you know, saying, okay, I have this amount of time. If I made zero money doing nothing, which, you know, like obviously I'm not going to, like I have still been making money, just, you know, a certain avenue, like I was doing major wholesale stuff in those, and that dried up for a few different reasons. So that was essentially my like rent payment. So it was kind of like, okay, how am I gonna pay my rent? You know, like, because I didn't want to get some more wholesale orders. Like I could have just gone and gotten more wholesale orders, but I didn't want to do that. So anyways, I have a little bit of like leeway to essentially figure out what I want my life to look like. You know, like I want to have free weekends, you know, like I want to be off on Saturday. Like I want to do what I want to do. Like I don't want to be pressed to, you know, do baking stuff. So I'm gonna have some breathing room, and I'm gonna do some tarot, and I'm gonna do some glass, and I'm still gonna do my baking, like, but I'm gonna be really focusing on structuring my day on how I want it to look. So maybe that is a message to you. I don't know. Okay, let's see if any of these cards want to come out. Okay. We had some right away come out. So one says seeking help and money worship. Seeking help and money worship. So this says crying out for support, Help arrives from unexpected quarters. Invisible forces of help guide you through troubled waters. And money worship. Self-interest rules decisions and disregards fairness. Values are for sale to the highest bidder. Money comes first and ethical concerns come second. So, yeah, I do feel like the stories I already shared. It's funny because the reader that I was listening to talked about how when you're channeling a message that you kind of like really don't need the cards. They're just for, excuse me. They're just as tools, and they're just kind of like confirm like what you're already kind of channeling. Like money worship to me is not, you know, money worship. To me, you know, money comes first and like self-interest. Like that's like when, you know, me at a place where I just was like, I don't care about anything except for making money. Not because I give a crap about money, but literally because I need X amount of dollars and X amount of time to pay my rent. So that ends up kind of being like, to me, like that, like that's just like money worship. So you could be this money worship card, but that wasn't the story that I already shared before I pulled that card. Was me out of necessity, you know, wasting time or, you know, doing things that I didn't want to do in order to make money. So that could be you at this point. And seeking help, like I talked about, I literally had to ask for help for money because I could not pay my rent. So seeking help, crying out for support, like I had to do that. You know, help arise from unexpected quarters. Like I did not want to tell my parents, you know, that like, I don't say I was failing, but you know, like that's how I was looking at it. Like I'm failing. I'm like, you know, I've been doing, like I've had my business and like I've been doing this for all this time and I've never not, you know, been able to pay my rent. And now I'm like doing this, so I'm like a failure. And like I did not want to go to anybody for help. And like I didn't know what to do. And like to me, going to someone for help is, oh, you can go get a job. And I'm like, get a job making half, if that, the amount per hour that I was already making before. And then I have to worry about childcare. No, that's not an option. Like, no. So I'm just kind of like, I don't ever want to like share. And I'm just like, 3333 on a timer. You know, if you end up feeling alone, like, and a friend was like, talk to your mom, talk to your mom, talk to your mom. And then I did finally end up talking to her, and like it actually helped our relationship, because I saw where there were, you know, blocks in our relationship, and then me essentially having to be vulnerable and ask her for help, you know, kind of like ended up not like fixing, but bringing to light things that like needed fixed so that we could work on them. And that we have been, like, in my opinion. So, you know, like you probably either you just asked for help and this is confirmation that it was the right thing to do because you weren't sure, or you need to ask for help. And this is your confirmation to go ahead and then ask for help. Like if you have someone that you can ask for help, whatever that looks like, because help doesn't necessarily mean money, but just the fact that it came out with money worship, to me is, you know, saying that you're having financial, like you're in this kind of financial dark, you know, kind of period where I was, you know, kind of saying that I was in. And if that's happening, you know, why is that happening? And like, so examine that. And it is probably that there's something you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing. And people don't like to hear that. People don't like to hear that and like to, you know, kind of like say, no, it's something external. It's not my fault. And, you know, it's not about fault. You know, like losing a job is not about fault. Even if you could say sometimes it's your fault. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately, it's not about that. It's about divinely there's something else that you're supposed to do. So rather than dwell in it, you know, like, how can we get you into doing that next thing? Like, that's how I look at it, because that's the only way to look at it. Okay, next. Like, okay, what's the reason? Okay, you know, right, go on. All right, so let's see if it's come out. I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into that. Let's see. I really love this deck. It has really pretty pictures. It's a Akashic Records Oracle deck. Anyways, all right, so we got a few came out. So we have choice. You're being asked to make a choice that you've been struggling with. It's time to decide which path you're going to take. Listen to your intuition, eliminate everyone else's input, and feel your way into the choice that is right for you. The time is now. Speak up. What are you not saying that's eating you up inside? You can't keep this in forever. It's time to let it out so you can move on and be happy. Speak up. And courageous heart. It takes courage to follow your heart, especially when the path is unknown. Your heart knows the way. Trust it and let it lead you to your true destiny. I don't think I really need to reiterate like the messages that I was already kind of saying. I feel like it's kind of going a little bit deeper with the like speak up. So, you know, maybe there is a situation that you're being called to, you know, come forward on, you know, or, you know, maybe you're around some people and you keep your opinions to yourself, and there are certain things that you feel called to share, you know. For me, because like what I've learned is like, not that our opinion isn't important, but like it's not necessarily as important as we think, if that makes sense. Like, to kind of go with the vibe of like the room on if it'll help, because sometimes it's like good to, you know, kind of rock the boat, I guess, and other times it's not. Okay, so you have door to personal healing and happiness in the reverse. I'm going to read that. This is from the Energy Oracle deck. Okay, so reversed. You may be feeling stuck where your personal intentions are concerned. Self-mastery and discipline may be hard to achieve right now, or specific plans for personal change may be being blocked. Remember that your intentions need to be cleared and unconflicted. Whatever you're working on, you need to know that you are capable of achieving it and that you deserve it. Put your heart into the plans and changes you desire, and realize that you are worth your own time and effort. The new beginning you seek will come with your own focus and patient determination. And you have an affirmation here. It says, I am strong, focused, and self-directed. I have the power to create wonderful new realities in my life. And you do have the power to create wonderful new realities in your life. So on the bottom of the deck, sorry, I was like deciding if this message needed to come out. But I was called to look at the bottom of the deck, and it's the Envy card in the reverse. And I was was just, you know, thinking that maybe you're in a space to where you're like, I would say like no longer envious of, you know, like a life or like something others have, but you're kind of like, oh, like I can do that. Like I can make that for myself. And if you're not, then you're getting ready to, essentially. So I'm not feeling called to any other decks at the moment. So parting words are to meditate and kind of like take some quiet time to just be with yourself. Maybe if you need to take some alone time, some quiet time. So turning off the TV, turning off external noise, you know, even like radio. Like a lot of times people have trouble just being in silence. I'm like talking really quiet all of a sudden. So yeah, I guess if you're maybe being called to like quiet down a little bit yourself and just kind of like sit and like wait till you're feeling called to like do something and start asking God, start asking, you know, your guides for help, and just where you should go next, or like what the purpose of this period is. That, you know, you're in this cocoon, like in this like butterfly phase, whatever the stage you're in. You can ask why you're in it, and you'll get the answers that you're looking for. So hopefully that helps. All right, mystics, have fun. All right, pile number 3. You chose this card. Y'all are the vessel. The vessel. I didn't even get my book out. I just finished pile number 1 today. I just want to keep going because I said these were going to be 15 minutes, and that one was long, almost 40 minutes. Okay, so oh my gosh, there are so many of these things. These Roman numerals where they use the L. What is that? All right. I can do this. Okay, I found it, y'all. Okay, so the vessel, it says the body, the container, the cup. So when light, stable, strong, grateful. When dark, trapped, being in a bubble. Go deeper, loving cup by the Rolling Stones. I don't know what that means. Listen to that song if you want to go deeper into being the vessel. Okay, so it says the physical body is the most sacred vessel of all. It is the one in which you reside from your first breath to your last. It may need your attention. So it says the mentor and the healer must pay particular attention to this archetypal form. Healing cannot be sustained without a strong container. So it says the vessel may be the most powerful archetypal form on earth. It is everywhere. Cups hold liquid. Stoves hold fire. Our bodies hold organs. Our homes hold families. Through the simple act of separation, the vessel protects what it contains. Nests protect the eggs. Savings accounts protect your earnings. Even the planets are contained within their circular orbit. When this card appears, it's time to assess what is being held together and how. Is the vessel too tight, too loose, broken, empty, full, or perhaps there is no vessel at all, and the contents spill in every direction? It is natural for structures to be formed and eventually fall apart. The vessel has a life cycle that must be honored. Is it time for you to build, break, or repair? You must find out. Okay, so interesting. So I'm gonna get some, I'm gonna do some tarot cards on this. So we can go a little bit deeper on this. Maybe figure out what this is having to do with. And actually have a Healing Bones Oracle cards. We might use those. All right, so can we get some clarification on this body card here? Okay, so you got the Eight of Swords, the Four of Cups in reverse, the Knight of Pentacles, the Devil in reverse, and the Five of Swords. So I want to clarify the Four of Cups, I want to look up the Four of Cups in reverse. But to me, the Eight of Wands is, you know, like it depicts, you know, she's bound up and, you know, she's blindfolded and there are these swords all around her. You know, that's like a lot of time, like imagined, you know, scary things, like not things that are like actually real and like tangible, but things that like we're imagining. So, you know, like the Knight of Pentacles is something stable, is, you know, like definite, is, you know, like something definitely coming in, but it's just like slower moving. The Devil in reverse, you know, talks about, you know, kind of like releasing, like it could be releasing attachments, like releasing bad habits, like, you know, coming out of those like chains. And the Five of Swords is typically a like conflict card. I want to look up this Four of Cups in reverse first. So the Four of Cups reverse is clarity, awareness, acceptance, choosing happiness, depression, negativity. The Four of Cups reverse was like, that's a lot of, that's funny. Okay, so I'm thinking that they're kind of doing this because the like Four of Cups normal is just kind of like indifferent, feeling disconnected, discontent, melancholy. So it's just kind of like, because in the like picture, you know, dude's got these cups and something's being offered to him and he's like kind of doesn't want it. So I think that like it's like a more intense, it's more intense when it's in reverse. So this is saying the reverse suggests that the querent feels a surge of new strength and is ready to take advantage of new opportunities. So like in the upright, you're not wanting the opportunities. In reverse, you are wanting to take advantage of these. So see, pleasure again after periods of boredom. So, after this Eight of Swords, because the Eight of Swords came out like first right away. So that to me, like when it's talking about, like with the Vessel card, like what needs changed, it is to me is like a mentality, like being stuck in your own mental prison, and like only you have the power to change that, by accepting new offers and like going in like a new route. So this like Knight of like Pentacles, like this is like it takes work, like to kind of change this mindset. I want to like definitely look this up. But with this Devil in reverse as well, like you're coming out of this mental prison, this self-imposed, kind of mental prison, whether it's, however it was self-imposed, even if that's just how you were raised, is like usually like the self-imposed, like just how you grew up. You're in a mental prison. Okay, so the Knight of Pentacles, practical, reliable, efficient, stoic, slow and steady, hardworking, committed, patient, conservative, a methodical approach and routine. So yeah, it's just basically what I said, keeping with what you're doing, just keep going. Clarity for the Five of Swords. Yeah, arguments, disputes. So this could also be, disputes with others around you. Could be popping up, especially not like if you're having a new perspective, like new, like you're changing, like you're coming out of your mental prison. So then therefore, others that are in their own mental prisons that are around you, might be kind of like, like the Lovers in reverse. So that could have to do with some sort of partnership, which I'm not doing a love reading. I'm not going into that. But take that if it resonates. Okay, so I want to get, let's see, I want to do this healing bones and then just some advice cards, because I feel like you know what you need to do. You need to trust your intuition, and you need to take stock, just take stock of what's going on and then move forward from there after you take stock of what's going on. Okay, so, okay. I made that face because I was having a weird back pain, like weird, like not normal back pain before I did this. And I thought about these cards and I said, I wonder if someone's having a back pain that I'm getting ready to do this reading on. And then I said, I want to see if this comes out. So I didn't use these in pile number 1. So someone in pile number 2 has the back pain. So this has responsibility, support, security issues, tension, weighed down, and secrets. Didn't something come up where I was talking about needing to speak up? Or is that in the other pile? I might have in the last pile. Look, you need to speak up too. You need to speak up too. Okay, so I'm gonna get some of these Akashic records, oracle cards, and then we're gonna call it. All right. What advice or issues can get brought to light right now for the collective? This is pile number 2. All right. All right, so we've depleted. You are overgiving and not taking enough time to rest and rejuvenate. And look, what that card, what the vessels say? It said something like this, like again, taking stock, reevaluate. Look, didn't I say? The cards just end up. I'm not gonna make this up. They just say what the channelers are already channeling. Reevaluate your relationships. Look, we had the Lovers in reverse on that pile. So this was, I said I wasn't going to get into it, but here, look, somebody wanted to know. Somebody wanted to know. Reevaluate your relationships and commitments, or you may soon risk your health deteriorating in some way. Look. Stop. I'm not even going to go back to that book because I remember that it took me forever to find that number. But look, it was talking about health and it's getting brought up again. Okay, so look, fix it. Okay, so we have pause. You're being asked to pause before making a quick decision and moving forward. Allow yourself to step back, look at all the possible outcomes, and make sure you're heading in the right direction before moving forward. And then we have strategy and planning. Your actions have taken you to a new phase in your spiritual evolution. Now is the time to plan and strategize for the highest possible outcome. So, look, rest, evaluate, make cuts. That's all I got for you. Make it a wonderful day. What's up? Pile number 3. You guys chose this funky card with the snake. That's the healer. The healer. All right. So it says the light worker, the gifted, the old soul. When light, self-contained, grateful, awake. When dark, tired, needy, forgetting its own practice. To go deeper, I'm not even gonna read this. I don't know what language that's in, but I'm not doing that to myself or you. Okay, so it says the image of the serpent is eternally tied to healing and medicine, both Western and Eastern. Study the serpent and its power. The wounded healer is not someone who was wounded and is now healed. It is someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deeper integration. So through some claim the work of the healer as their gift. Why is this sentence not making sense? Okay. Though some claim the work of the healer as their gift and name it as their dharma, the force of this archetype is within everyone. It is our natural inclination to remember, to return to, and to reclaim that central and eternal life force from which we so easily drift away. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting. And it is said that this is the source of all suffering and dis-ease. The healer's mission then becomes to move through the comfort of forgetting, through the veils of ignorance and denial, to reveal the radiance that already exists. The healer approaches this in multiple ways from multiple angles. Knowing the cycles of healing is not linear. It is a multi-layered and circuitous process, always leading back to its own origin, much like the Ouroboros. Oh, that's eating itself. I'm feeling like this is an introspective time for y'all because I'm like feeling very quiet. The first one I had a lot to say. The second one I pulled tarot to clarify. But I'm feeling called to look at the Starseed Oracle deck for y'all. So pick from this. All right, so let's clarify this healer card. Okay. The golden children, inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts. Wow, this is a pretty cool card. I've never pulled this card before. Look, the golden children. All right, so I want to read from the book. All right, so it says, golden children, children of the sun, are highly advanced, extremely intelligent souls who are incarnating increasingly on planet Earth. They have little or no personal karma and possess incredible gifts and intuitive abilities. Golden children are born with a very clear mission. Many remember it from a young age and begin answering and sharing it early in life. Due to their unique intelligence, they may find themselves easily bored at school. Most have never incarnated on Earth before, and so, if they're not supported in the right ways, they struggle with physical life here. They're often referred to as the new humans. If you pull this card, it may be a sign that you're being called to mother, father, or nurture a child. You may be called to tend to your own inner child, a creative idea or project, or a new beginning, to treat yourself or the new beginning with sweet, tender love, to nurture and nourish it, to give it every chance to grow and reach adulthood, to encourage it, to water it, to see the world through the innocence of a child, to see yourself and all others as innocent children, to remember that deep down everyone is trying their best, and if they're treated with a tender heart, they'll not harden as they journey through this adventure called life. So it says, how can you treat yourself or others more tenderly? So I'm being called to share one story, and we'll see how much more I'm feeling, because I feel like this pile doesn't need me to tell them very much to do, if that makes any sense. I'm forgetting what I was gonna say. Oh, that's right. Being kind to yourself. So get into the habit of being your own personal coach. And you do this by, every time, you say something, think or say something negative about yourself, your coach comes in to correct it. So if you, forget something and say, oh, so stupid, how could I forget that? Like, coach comes in, hey, you're not stupid. You're just busy, you're overworked. It's okay. We all make mistakes anyways. Okay, thanks, coach. I'm ready to go. So You need to be listening to your intuition big time right now. Because look, I mean, sorry, I gotta grab this card again. I mean, these are the fewest cards that I pulled for any pile. So, look, you got the healer and the golden children. You should probably be doing my tarot reading. Just keep going. You're doing a good job. If you're here as a healer, saying less is pretty much the only advice I have to give you right now. That's all I got for y'all. Much love to you. Make it a great one. What's up, pile number 2? Y'all chose, or pile number 4. Maybe I have a message of pile number 2. I don't know why I said that. Okay, look, you chose this card, the Pilgrim. All right, so the wanderer, the traveler, the apprentice. When light, learns, grows, adapts, studies. When dark, is aloof, non-committal, or flaky. If you want to go deeper, read The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost or Mamine by David White. It says, even in the stillness of meditation, the pilgrim feels the movement of the heart toward what it loves. It says, we all have a deep longing to answer the call, to get unstuck. What are the obstacles between you and the door? For the pilgrim, an outward journey is always an inward journey. This archetypal wanderer seeks wisdom, experience, and meaning in the farthest reaches of the globe and the deepest regions of the spirit. Others will wonder when the pilgrim will settle down and claim a more conventional life. But the pilgrim knows that the heart belongs in motion. Where there's motion, there's freedom, expansion, and growth. Responsibilities, social conventions, and logistics lull us to sleep. And soon the pilgrim becomes veiled in the slumber of the day-to-day. Yet when this archetype awakens, it rallies our sense of adventure and leads us out the door toward a new reality. With the pilgrim at your side, you will never lack courage, nor do you need every amenity. Travel light, travel soon, your spirit needs it. Let me get some of these oracle cards here. You know, because I'm, other than, you know, resonating with, you know, kind of like wanting to live an unconventional lifestyle. Here, let's see. All right. What else do we got here going on? Oh. It says, gentle release. Let yourself surrender to the flow of life's mysterious currents. Just go with it. All right, I'm gonna get some more of this because it's seeming to me like you're kind of, you know, living a more carefree, adventurous, you know, life. You could be, getting in a bus and driving around the country, doing that sort of thing. Or you could want to do that. That could resonate with you. The schoolie, I wouldn't have built one of those. I still do kind of want to do that, but not to live in. But I like that idea of like having it and being able to like do that for periods of time. All right, so I'm gonna get some of these. Oh, there's my eagle came out. So it says, have faith. It's not always easy to have faith and trust that everything is going to be okay. Yet you must do exactly that. Because when you have faith, Your life will begin to flow in magical ways that you never imagined were possible. Love these cards. Gratitude. There's always something to be grateful for, even in the darkest of situations. Now is the time to recognize what is going well in your life and what you are thankful for. Gratitude. And then honor yourself. Recognize the hard work you've put in to get where you are today. Instead of thinking how far you still have to go, remind yourself of all that you've accomplished and be proud. All right, so I'm gonna pull some energy oracle cards. Now I'm thinking maybe you just need a confirmation. I saw just saw 4, 5, 6 on the timer. Yeah, maybe you just need a confirmation that it's okay to live an unconventional lifestyle. I don't know, because I'm not having a bunch of messages. I think pile 1 had the biggest messages coming in. Let's see here. All right, anything going on? Pile number 4. Let's see, any underlying energy going on in pile number 4? Okay, so we got the angel of strength and the 5th chakra, which is Archangel Gabriel, both in the reverse. So we're gonna read the reversal of this. So the angel of strength is personal power and inner strength. So reversed, it says, this card reverse indicates that you are not perceiving the truth of your own power. Perhaps you're even seeing yourself as weak or ineffectual. The situation you find yourself in may seem overwhelming, but you absolutely do have the strength to see it through to a successful outcome. Don't fall into any old patterns of giving your power away. When you let others define you or make decisions on your behalf, you take yourself out of the picture of your own destiny creation. Meditate on the brilliant, vibrating light of this angel and recall the eternal power that surges through your life. It's time to take back control. So your affirmation, deep within me is an abiding strength that knows no bounds. I have all the power I need to achieve all that I want. And then we got here, so the 5th chakra, which is your throat chakra. Because I want to clear my throat. Okay, so it says self-expression and speaking your truth. So in the reverse, it says this card, reverse, often indicates significant blocks in the throat center. Something in your history may have caused you to shut down, but it's important now to break through that unhealthy pattern. Or you may currently be in a situation where the free sharing of your ideas, opinions, or feelings is being thwarted. In addition to the fear of self-expression, this card reverse could indicate physical throat problems. As all the chakra cards reverse may signal difficulties in that area of the body. The physical trouble may be connected to the blocked energy in that chakra. So it's all the more important to work on clearing the energy and the center involved. To clear the throat chakra, call upon Gabriel and meditate on his power blasting through any blocks. See your throat center spinning in a beautiful blue light. Muster up the courage to speak your truth to yourself and to those around you. It's time to let go of any old fear of confrontation and stand up for yourself from now on. Your affirmation, my throat chakra is open to its perfect healthy state, spinning with the beautiful energy of freedom and self-empowerment. I am free to express myself in every way. So, definitely this, me, I struggled with a blocked throat chakra for a long time, and I still struggle with that, and just making these videos. It's like, I want to do the tarot and I want to do readings, and then I want to help people through the readings, but I don't want to be on camera, and I don't want to, sometimes I don't want to, I think it's because I have like a blocked throat chakra and some other blocked things, or that I was, because I am obviously doing the videos. So I'm like coming out of that. It's something that I struggled with more in the past. So you may be struggling with this still. And just practicing doing things that, kind of like pull you out of your comfort zone, in terms of, sharing, or, like opening up. I'm trying to think if I may call to you any other cards. I want to get and these are just kind of like positive affirmations, kind of, but this was like the first oracle deck I got before I even knew like what an oracle deck was. So I've had these for a long time, but I got them just so I could, pick something every day, like something positive to like tell myself, or like something like say, okay, like what do I need to focus on today? And then I would pick the card and it would, I would say, okay, and kind of like think about what it was saying for the day, if that makes sense. Like contemplating the affirmation. So I'm feeling called to do that for you guys right now. I don't know. No one's not going to come out. Maybe being called to have patience, as that came out. So I started to get frustrated and have a little bit of anxiety for the answer to come quickly. So an owl may be significant because there's an owl on this card. So it says, I do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness. So as this pilgrim, this wanderer, you are probably on a search for consciousness or for answers. And just meditate and ask for them. Go out into nature and ask for them. Turn off the TV and ask for the answers. Ask God, your high self, for the answers that you're seeking. Okay. Here's your card. Here's your card. I'm going to leave you out with that.